Glad that you are with us on this end of the work week. Hopefully it's the end of your work week. Glad to have you. Bill Michaels Show today on the air. We're back in studio today, getting ready to do some stuff this weekend, heading down to Chicago and the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Going to go down there and watch Frankie Winters be inducted, so I'm kind of excited about that today. But a lot to get to. I got to ask you, starting right out of the chute today, Ben, have you read any of the Phil Mickelson book?
No, I ordered it and it is arriving today.
There's so much there. We got to get the author on. There's so much there that it's and we'll talk a little bit about it, but there's so much there. And I understand now why Phil is not making appearances. And apparently, and I can't remember the guy he was hooked up with, the guy that went to jail that is angry at Phil, kind of thinking Phil sold him out. Billy something or other, Billy or Bobby, I can't remember the guy's name.
Billy Walters.
Billy Walters, thank you very much. Billy Walters is writing a book. Did you know that?
No.
Billy Walters is writing a book, and his book is going to come, if you had to say, now I'm putting it in the woman scorned vernacular, Billy Walters and Phil Mickelson were kind of joined at the hip when it came to betting. And the whole thing with the insider trading on one of the grocery chains and their stocks and such, that's ultimately what this Billy Walters, I think, got busted for. And again, skimming some of this and a lot of the pages and such, but Billy Walters wanted Phil Mickelson, after years of those two betting together and kind of being, thick as thieves together, so to speak, and really forming a bonding friendship over betting, that Billy Walters ended up going to jail. He's in prison. And I don't know if he still is or just got out or what, but he's writing a book. But he felt that if Phil Mickelson would have testified on his behalf, it would have either, one, he believes, gotten him off, or certainly lessened the blow. And Phil refused to. And the argument is Phil did not want to be deposed because of what he did or didn't know. So he refused to testify. So Billy Walters said, you're not going to testify for me? You got it. That's fine. I'm going to tell it, since I'm in jail already and everybody thinks that I did this stuff, I'm going to tell everybody what you did. And so there's another book coming out on Phil Mickelson and the shady dealings and the characters that he dealt with, and his betting prowess and all of this. And apparently what had happened with Phil Mickelson was, before the book went to print, he went to the author, and as it's put, Phil's trying to be the smartest guy in the room. He always is. And he always has an agenda when he speaks. He never talks just to talk. There's always something to his speak. And he apparently wanted to kind of outsmart everybody by saying, well, this is what I did to the Saudis. This is how I played both ends against the middle. I went to them and said, I wanted this, and I'm smarter than Greg Norman, who's part of the face of this golf league. I'm smarter than them. I used my position to get this. Then I went back to the PGA and they gave me this, and I told them where to stick it. And he basically undermined both situations. Now, everybody does it. If people go and play in Saudi Arabia or Dubai, they're doing it for the money. And athletes, will say, well, look, I'm not here politically. I'm just here to play golf and here to, kind of show the game abroad, and, which is the politically correct thing to say. But the bottom line is you're taking money and you're getting in bed with the devil when it comes to some of the atrocities that go on there. So Phil, he was the guy at least outspoken enough to say, this is what I'm doing. I think they're trash. I don't like them, but I'm going to take their money. I'm going to demand what I want. And then I'm going to turn around and demand the change from the PGA. And if they don't give me what I want, then I'm going to take people with me to this other league and we'll go deal with the devil. And that's what got Phil into all this trouble with both people on the tour who think, as Stockton said yesterday, we didn't miss him. As a defending champion, we don't miss that guy. Screw him. He has really divided some of the golfers on the PGA circuit, while on the other hand, trying to dance with the devil and get his money and his cake too. And that's where all this comes into play. Had he not called the author in December to try to again express his point of view, to get everybody to be on the same page with him, and he could just call everybody what he wanted to, so he could say, I'm the smartest guy in the room, this would not have been an issue. The book would have just come out. It probably would have been more about his betting and about his life behind the golf bag, rather than his public life and what he's done using his position to posture himself against the PGA and to take money from the people that he doesn't like. And it's fascinating. But he has lost, in 10 years' time, $40 million reportedly. According to him, $40 million. And he is ultra competitive, ultra ego driven, and not in a good way. Like Jordan wanted to beat you. He wanted to beat you to be better than you. Okay. Phil not only wants to beat you, but he wants to demean you and prove to you that he's smarter than you are, that he's the best and you're beneath him. And I've always said, look, you either like Phil or you hate Phil. There is no in between. If you've met him and you're not part of that circle, you hate his guts because he's an ass. So you may read the whole thing in a weekend because it's just that good. But had Phil not called the author at the last minute to invoke all of this, I'm smarter than the Saudis, I'm smarter than the PGA, I'm smarter than everybody, and everybody should kiss my ass because I'm doing what's right for me and showing them the way to make money, he might have been okay, other than the fact that you would have gotten a glimpse into his gambling life and his debts and the legality of what or illegality of what he's done and some of the people he went to bed with. Because he got into a betting scandal in Detroit, and he got into the betting scandal with some of these guys that were reportedly kind of mobbed up, and he kept making bets through this Billy Waters. And Billy Waters, and for those that don't know, he's a guy that really was one of the first analytical guys to start using computers and computer science to place bets. Made a ton of money. Tons of money. And Phil and him became friends. And Phil loves to bet on sports. So him and Billy got into bed together, and Billy got so good at it that he was being denied access to Vegas casinos and to the regular mainstream booking agencies for money because he was so good, he wasn't losing. So when Phil started to make bets and Phil was not as good, Billy would place bets through Phil. So Phil would lose, which would lend credibility to Billy to say, look, I don't win all the time, go ahead and start taking my bets again. And then when all of that happened, Billy began placing bets again with the casinos and bets again with bookies. And Phil, kind of paved the way and opened the doors for Billy, and vice versa. Well, Phil ended up placing bets with Billy to a mobbed up guy in Detroit, and Phil was losing over and over and over and ran up a tab of millions of dollars to the point where the mob came looking for him. And it's an unbelievable book. But I'll say this, Phil Mickelson, can't get it. He's his own worst enemy. He's his own way for all the speculation and all the finger pointing that he wants to do. And he's his own worst enemy. There's no doubt about it. But secondly, he has completely sullied his legacy, his image. It's no wonder people are trying to distance themselves from him. And eventually he's going to have to answer to all of this when he does finally stand. I can understand now why he's not going before a microphone, because he has really dove into the murky pond of illegal sports betting, insider trading, basically demeaning people for his own personal gain. And it doesn't matter who he goes to bed with, as long as he makes money and he looks smarter than you. And boy, I tell you what, you're going to love reading it. That's kind of the Cliff Notes version of all of this. But wow, it's kind of ripping the mask off, so to speak, of Phil Mickelson. And this image of this happy family, me and my girls, I'm battling the rheumatoid arthritis, look at me, yay for me. If you're part of Lefty's army, that's great. But man, you're don't get me wrong. Look, Tiger's no saint. We all know that, for all the things that he's done. And I'm sure there's other guys on tour that are SOBs as well. But if you're part of that Lefty army, man, it's quite the cesspool to dive into. So anyway, it's just wow. It's a really compelling book. Really compelling book. Welcome to the program, 877-867-1670. So have I stirred your juices to read it this weekend?
Oh, I'm excited. I've seen the author up on Golf Channel as well. I want to hear the stories, first of all. I heard a great one with him and like Jason Kidd and a bunch of basketball players going to Vegas some Sunday morning during the NFL season in like 2002. But yeah, I'm interested because it's obviously the biggest headline in golf right now, aside from the tournament. And I feel like before reading this, I feel like he could win the good graces back of the public if he kind of opens himself up in a way that Tiger has.
Yeah.
Like Tiger over the last couple of years, especially as he has, been dealing with the car accident and everything, he has been more open to who he is as a person and not just his superstar golf life. Mm-hmm. I feel like Phil could benefit from doing that.
He could, but his ego won't allow him to do it.
Right.
And if he does, Phil will be so disingenuous about it. Where Tiger did it out of embarrassment. You know what I mean? Tiger did it and made you feel like he was coming hat in hand. Now, Tiger is arrogant. We all know that. But Tiger has that certain charisma, that certain likability. And when he came with his apology, and you remember when he stood at the podium, he apologized to his mom. His mom was sitting in the front row. He apologized to everybody. He just went through the whole thing and said, look, I just really screwed this up. I'm really sorry, but and he felt like he stood there. I'm calling a press conference. I want to be able to say this. I want to get my story out. I want, whereas Phil is going to seem, and I can almost hear it in my head just after seeing these excerpts and reading this, skimming this, I can almost hear Phil sounding robotic and then getting angry at the questions and then being disingenuous with the apology. Just from the look inside the condescending ego that he has. I don't know if that's the best term or not, but man, just what a book. What a book.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Brewers starting a weekend series. They're coming up tonight, I should say, against the Washington Nationals, who are in town. You've got Eric Lauer on the hill, 3-1 with a 2.60 ERA, and he is going to be throwing on the hill tonight. And that, by the way, is a 7:10 start time, 7:10 Central Time start time tonight down at American Family Field. So hopefully the Brewers continue their winning ways, climb up to 11 games over 500. We'll give you the update on the PGA Championship. Going to talk a little bit about a survey in the Wisconsinites' view of Paul Christ, which we want to talk a little bit about and gauge that as well. And speaking of golf, and I went back, I DVR'd the PGA yesterday. And I am going to ask the question, and you got to think about this. Okay, you got to think about this. Should Tiger be playing? Should Tiger be playing? and I'll explain that too. So got a lot of that going on today. Got a lot of that. Stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up, and it's coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
if he would do that, if Phil would come out and address some of this stuff now, and Billy Waters writes his book and goes to print in the summer and then comes out in Christmas time, and Phil is at least looks as if he's a liar on top of it, then it would then further, it would all but completely shatter his reputation. So I guess, I don't know. Time heals all wounds. We all know that. Sometimes they run deep and it doesn't heal them as quickly or as fully, but time heals all wounds. So maybe he just goes away for a while and this continues to just, die down, and then he'll let the dust settle and then come out and talk a little bit about it and move on. But yeah, it's not good for Phil. Yeah, not good for Phil.
You mentioned the Saudi stuff. A lot of it actually came from the book because he had said some things to Alan that he then tweeted out. It's when he called them scary mother effers.
Yep. And that was the phone call, according to Alan Shipnuck, that was the phone call in December. They hadn't really gone down that path until Phil made that call. Phil just, and I was listening to an interview with Shipnuck that he said Phil just couldn't help himself. He couldn't stop himself. He couldn't just leave it alone and just kind of say, okay, this is kind of what I was doing. This is what was going on. He had to be the smartest guy in the room. He had to come forward to say what he said, to show everybody that he was so smart and he was so much better or higher up than everybody, that he outsmarted the Saudis and he was outsmarting the PGA and he was getting what he wants and he was better than Greg Norman, and it just that he was getting his due because he's smarter than everybody else. And then when he said what he said, just in so many different levels, it offended the PGA, it offended people, it offended the Saudis, he blew it all up. He blew it all up. So interesting. 877-867-1670. Speaking of a tell-all, there's going to be an interview with Real Sports on HBO, apparently coming up next week, where Deshaun Watson's accusers sit down for an interview with Real Sports. And the NFL moves inevitably towards deciding whether or not to suspend him for all. Now they're saying for all or part of the 2022 season, or wait until the civil lawsuits pending against him have been resolved. But his accusers are going to be speaking out on this Real Sports. And it says several of the women who have accused Watson of sexual misconduct during the massage sessions have been interviewed now by HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. And Soledad O'Brien serves as the reporter on the story. And the press release from HBO says the women detail the alleged abuse they suffered and share their reactions to Watson's $230 million contract with the Browns. Sounds to me like when this comes out, the NFL is not going to have any choice but to reprimand him in some way. And the way they put it, they give out the real possibility that he could then again be suspended until next year. He could be suspended for the entire 2022-2023 run, the entire season into January. So, man, it's what a day. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. You can also get a hold of us over on Twitter, @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. You can find us at Ben Kenny as well, @Ben_Z_Kenny. By the way, Ben, how did last night go with the Kenny and Heilprin show?
Oh, it was good. It was interesting because the story of Bill Sheridan, we mentioned it at the end of our show yesterday, but the story, not many have been talking about it since it happened on Friday. It was a Friday afternoon, kind of bled into the weekend. There hasn't been much chatter about, for lack of a better word, the disaster that hire was and why it happened.
Right.
So we got into that and some state of the program stuff. It was good.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up. And the survey, as far as we'll just say, like, the president has an approval rating. What is the approval rating of Paul Chryst? And correct me if I'm wrong. That's kind of what this is, right?
Yeah, Paul Chryst as a coach, recruiter, program as a whole, it goes into a lot of different things, but that's the idea.
We'll get into that today coming up as well. And we'll kind of gauge some thoughts on that. So interesting stuff there. Again, 877-867-1670. You can get a hold of Ben at Ben Z. Kenny. Follow us over on Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can also follow us on YouTube. Appreciate it if you subscribe there. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, and you can subscribe for free. It's absolutely free. Just click on subscribe, and then when we go on the air, it'll notify you, and it's easy. Twitch TV, you can download the app. It was more of a gaming app at first, and now more and more people are using it to stream video and audio, and that's what we're doing as well. You can also find us, don't forget, on many of the different platforms. On Spotify, you can find us on Apple iTunes. You can also find us on Google Podcasts as well. Find us there, and I want to say hi to all of you listening to us on our flagship station out of Madison, on the website, The Bill Michaels, thebillmichaels.com, whether it's the Odyssey app or our friends now out of Milwaukee over on iHeart. You can find us on the iHeart app as well. So plenty of ways to get a hold of us and pay attention to the program. And we certainly appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit about the Deshaun Watson thing when we come back as well, but so much to get to coming into the weekend. We'll also give you at the top of every hour, going into the top of every hour, we'll give you the update as to what's going on in the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. So we'll get into that discussion a little bit later on as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, and we are less than a week away. The weather has changed. Hopefully the weather gets a little bit better, but they're saying mid-60s and a little bit of rain possible next Wednesday. But, it's still, 5, 6, 7 days out, 6 days out before we have to worry about next Wednesday night. But Wednesday Night Live's back at the Wisconsin State Fair Park in the Budweiser Pavilion. It's all brought to you by Bud Light. Rebel Grace on the stage next Wednesday night. We hope to see you there. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Thunder is back, and you don't want to miss it. June 30th through July 3rd. It's the NASCAR Cup Quick Trip 250 and the Xfinity Series Henry 180. For tickets, go to roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's that kind of season where it's warm, then it's cold, it's warm, then it's cold, and you get it, right? And you get some bugs, they start to come out, you're kind of like, and then they go away after it gets cool, and then they come back. And then, if you got some roaches running around, some ants running around, which I know I've got a bunch on the outside of my yard, which I've started to take care of. But the stink bugs and, say, bed bugs, if you do a lot of traveling, if you're back out moving around again, one thing to think about, and that's our friends over at Milwaukee Bed Bug Pros. Call them 414-877-5811, 414-877-5811. And why do you want to choose them? Because they're safe, they're effective, there's thermal and chemical options, and the treatments find and they kill bed bug eggs and other eggs and manipulation of other bugs, and whatever it happens to be, they can help you out. And the best part about it is they have maintenance programs, so you don't get them. I had stink bugs in my house at one point and don't have them anymore, which is, thank God. I've mentioned it before. You ever have one of those get accidentally sucked up into your vacuum? Oh my goodness. Might as well throw the vacuum out. You got to leave it sit outside for about 5 days. But that, because they really do earn their name. But that being said, look, if you have them, you know who to call. If you don't, but you don't want them and you want to be preventative, if you say own properties, apartments, duplexes, things like that, call them. Anywhere, Milwaukee, Ozaki, Waukesha, you start to go through the county. They're not just Milwaukee, and they're outside of the county, outside of the area. You can call them from anywhere in the state. 414-877-5811, 414-877-5811. 5811. Again, call them 414-877-5811 or go to MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. So the one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on, and Ben, you alluded to this a little while ago, was looking at Wisconsin football. Wisconsin football, out of the athletic, the team trajectory, coaching, recruiting, and so much more. And when you look at this and you say, okay, what do you feel? What do you feel is the trajectory, if you will, of Wisconsin football? And how good are they, or how good can they be? Okay. So when you look at this, how would you rate Paul Chryst's performance, even though through 7 seasons, as Wisconsin's head coach, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent? 1 being poor, 5 being excellent. 1 was 0.8%. Not bad. Nobody thinks it's poor. 2, which is above poor but not great, is 1.9%. 3, which is pretty average, is right in the middle, 24.8%. 4, which is above average but not excellent, 63.3%. And 5, which is absolutely excellent, is 9.1%. 63.3% feel that the program is, through the first 7 seasons, really good. And, Ben, I got to admit, I probably agree with that.
I said 4 as well last night.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
I think if they had won one of those trips to Indy, 2016, 17, or 19, we'd look at his tenure a lot differently.
Yep.
But the last 2 years, undoubtedly disappointing. But the first 5 were, nearly as good as you could ask.
Right.
So definitely not a 5. But I'm optimistic. I like him a lot.
From where
I think
it
he
was
has done a good job.
Coming after Gary Anderson to where it is, the expectation, the optimism, the success, absolutely. Absolutely. He's 65-23 overall at Wisconsin, including 43-16 in the Big Ten. But they have failed to win the Big Ten West in each of the last couple of seasons, which represents, by the way, the first time he has gone in consecutive seasons at Wisconsin without a West Division title. And as a result, the numbers have dipped a little bit. How would you rate your overall satisfaction with the current state of the program? 1 being poor, 5 being excellent. 49.7% say 4. 34.9% say number 3. So that's kind of what we thought. There's when you talk about Paul Chryst's performance, 63.3% say number 4. 49.7% with the overall satisfaction are at number 4, while the larger margin moves not necessarily upward to 5, but downward to 3. So you're thinking it's about average. I am not really satisfied. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not satisfied with it. There's a lot of room for improvement. 34.9%. How would you rate his performance as an on-field coach? As an on-field coach. And again, 1 through 5, 1 being poor, 5 being excellent, 3 being average. 3, 40.6%. Just above average, 41.3%. So 81.9% are in the 3 to 4 range. 81.9%.
I think that's generous.
I wonder how much the last 2 seasons and not winning the West has hurt that specific number.
It should. He's the offensive guy. He's the quarterback coach. He was the play caller.
Right.
He doesn't coach the defense. Jim Leonard does. So when the defense is amazing and the offense sucks, part of that is Paul Chryst.
How would you rate Paul Chryst's performance as a recruiter? This is where the number goes to double digits, I should say, in the lower end of the percentage. 12.1% of you say give him a 2. 36.8 give him a 3. So 48.9% of you rate him average to below average. whereas 40.1% rate him above average and 7.1% rate him excellent. So 48.9% average to below, 47.2 above average to excellent. Interesting. How do you rate the job Paul Chryst did with the offseason coaching moves on his staff? This is where it becomes better because obviously of the addition of the new offensive coordinator. It is 69.7% of you say above average to excellent. At 24.8% of you say average, and 3.9 and 1.7 are below average or poor. How confident are you that Wisconsin's revamped recruiting department, now under Mickey Turner, can successfully bring in top 25 recruiting classes? Top 25 recruiting classes. 43.2% of you unsure. 31.7 optimistically say fairly confident. 14.7% say fairly unconfident. 6.8 totally confident. 3.6 totally unconfident. How confident are you that Wisconsin's passing offense will improve next season? Which I thought was interesting. 54.8% of you say unsure to fairly unconfident. 32.7 unsure, 22.1 fairly unconfident. 34.7 fairly confident. 5.2 totally confident, 5.4 totally unconfident. So there's a lot to chew on here that I want to take a look at. So just kind of taking an overall look at this, okay? An overall look at this. As a Badger fan, we'll just say, we'll take an overall look. Give me the overall confidence, 1 through 5, 5 being unbelievably confident, 1 being no confidence at all. 1 through 5. Overall, your outlook, anticipation, and confidence in the sustainability of success, depending on what your level of success is, remember, in the Wisconsin Badger football program. Because when it comes to fans thinking about the college football playoff system, I think you'll be a little bit surprised at that number of confidence. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show, we continue. Enjoying our day today. Hey, a reminder that we got some cigar dinners coming up, and for the full schedule as to where we're going to be, go to tobaccooutletplusgrocery.com. That's tobaccooutletplusgrocery.com. And yes, we're coming to many of the areas. We're going to be in La Crosse. We're going to be in Milwaukee. Our first one's coming up. God, it's coming. It's fast coming here. Hang on a second. Our first one is coming up in less than 3 weeks. It's going to be Monday, June 6th. We're going to be at Ironwood Golf Course in the Waukesha, Sussex area, which is just northwest of Milwaukee. And you get golf, 9 holes of golf, dinner, some drinks, and cigars, all for one package. All for one package. It's close to being sold out. If you have not done one of these and you're in the area, get your tickets now and get your friends together now, because there's only a handful of tickets left. And I'm talking like in the single digits. So if you got to force them, you want to get in on this right now, because I think there's not much left. Maybe 8 tickets, 7 tickets, something like that. But get them now if you haven't gotten them already. It's going to be a good time. Coming up on Monday, June 6th. That's going to be an Ironwood Golf Course in Sussex. Got some more dates on the docket after that, but it's going to be a great time. They always are. They're always a lot of fun. We do a really good Q&A of sports and stuff after the fact. But if you can make it out, we really look forward to it. It's all brought to you by our friends at Quick Trip and Tobacco Outlet Plus Grocery. Go to tobaccooutletplusgrocery.com and to get all the information. So how would you rate the current state of Wisconsin football? Okay, The Athletic did a really comprehensive kind of look into many different questions. But one of the thoughts was, how likely do you think it is that the Wisconsin Badgers reach the college football playoffs in the next 5 years? Ben, did you do this one?
Did I answer it?
Did you guys, yeah. What would your answer be? One, well, put it this way. You're certain, likely, unlikely, or no chance?
I think it's likely, because if they win the Big Ten, they will go to the playoff. Or the playoff could expand and they could have a year where they maybe lose one game and then still go. I think it's likely, albeit I'm more stuck on them winning the Big Ten than needing to make the playoff, if that makes sense.
There is 0.8% say they are certain that the Badgers will reach the college football playoffs. Likely, like you just stated, 18.6%. That's it. Unlikely, 66.7%. And no chance at all, 13.9%. See, I'm with you. I think they can. But what the thought is, the prevailing thought is, if you look at unlikely to no chance gives you 80.6% of people. 80.6% of fans feel you don't have a shot. You won't even make the college football playoffs. While 19.4% of you say it's likely or you're certain of it. That's it. That's shocking. That's a little shocking.
If we had an expanded playoff from the start, say 8-10 teams, Wisconsin would have already made it probably 3 times.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they definitely are not far from going to it. However, contending for any sort of national title is a completely different story.
Right. How likely do you think it is that Wisconsin will win a national championship in the next 10 years? How likely do you think it is that Wisconsin wins a national championship in the next 10 years? What do you think, Ben? Certain, likely, unlikely, or no chance?
Last week, there's no chance.
No chance.
But I say that, and I'm fine with it. I think the barometer for success for teams outside of the top 10 annually, those blue bloods that will always be there, I think the barometer of success should not be going and winning national titles, because it's not going to happen. There is less parity in college football than there is in any sport out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't see how that's going to change.
Well, many people agree with you. Many people, 96.1% say unlikely to no chance. So what then is your level of success for the Badger football program? Is it just winning the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think saying they have to do something in the next 5 years is very tough, because there will be other circumstances. But I think they should win the Big Ten once in the next 5 years, if not multiple times.
But ultimately, success is not winning the West, it's winning the Big Ten.
Correct. But I think there are also years where, say they win 10 games, like 2019. They win 10 games, they win the West, then they run up against a great Ohio State team in Indy. There are times where you could say they had a very successful year and went to the Rose Bowl while also not winning the Big Ten.
Right.
Because some Ohio State teams are just going to be way too good to compete with.
Right. Interesting. My argument always is, you're not a blue blood program until you win one and then another, and you get that reputation. And we hear it a lot about respect. We want respect. You know, we're a good football team. We play in the Big Ten and on and on. We want respect. Well, what comes first? Good play and championships, or respect? Do you get respected if you haven't won anything? So it's always a very tough argument for a program that's on the cusp but has not been able to get over that hump. I understand it. I get it. I get disappointed because I want people to demand greatness, because I believe there's that potential. And look, I'm an outsider looking in when it comes to actually growing up in Wisconsin. I've only been in Wisconsin now going on 23 years. So, you know, a good chunk of my adult life has been spent in Wisconsin. I consider myself a Wisconsinite. But I didn't go to Wisconsin. I didn't play at Wisconsin. I didn't have that root growing up. But to me, it's like, if you're not playing for a championship, what are you playing for? And like, you know, basketball, I understand. You want to get to the tournament, and then there's certain goals. I guess I should look at it differently in the world of football, but I don't. I'm thinking there's one champion and a whole bunch of teams that got paid to play in the postseason. That's kind of the way I look at it. Whereas a tournament for all 64 teams in the NCAA tournament is a tournament. You're looking to be the best of the best out of that tournament, and being that one and done, I don't know. It's different to me. You know, you have a successful season if you place really well, you show really well in your conference, you can win your conference and then go deep into the tournament. That can be successful. But football is different to me. I don't know why, it just is. Bowl games are consolation prizes to me. Or that's a way to go out, have some of your seniors go out and show what it is they have going on, get your program a little bit more money, make some money for the sponsors, and then go home. 877-867-1670. Greg says Badger football is the Gonzaga for basketball. Got to prove it first. By the way, Roy,
Gonzaga
go ahead.
makes Final Fours.
They make Final Fours. That's true. Rory McIlroy in the lead, 5 under par, but is yet to tee off today. Justin Thomas is 1 under for the day. He's moved up to a second-place tie with Will Zalatoris and also Tom Hoagie. They are all at 4 under. You've got Matt Fitzpatrick, Johan Joaquin Niemann, Matt Kuchar, Abraham Answer, all sitting at 3 under par, and then it goes down from there. A lot of people have not teed off as of yet. They had high winds down in Southern Hills today. High winds today, and has made the course a little bit tough, although Brooks Koepka's taken advantage of it. He's 2 under par for the day, now sitting at 3 over par for the tournament. The projected cut line is 3 over. Remember that. It's 3 over projected right now. Got a whole bunch of guys of name sitting at 4 over and beyond. Got a lot more to go. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, yesterday saw the Milwaukee Brewers have an off day. They now are back at American Family Field. They welcome in the Washington Nationals for a weekend series. First pitch will be tonight at 7:10 with Eric Lauer taking the mound. He sits 3-1 on the year with an ERA of 2.60. The Brewers currently sit 24-14 on the season. That's good for first place in the NL Central and 4 games above the second place St. Louis Cardinals. To the NFL, earlier this week, Packers' new offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich met with the media and talked about stepping into his new role.
Just always be open to new ideas. Don't micromanage. I think that's the biggest thing, is just trust your guys and just listen. And I think that's the most important thing, not only to your coaches, but to your players as well. It's one thing that Matt and Nathaniel always did a great job of, is just listening to what the players had to say and kind of implementing things that could enhance their play.
Up next for the Packers, they begin their OTAs starting on Monday.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
If you're interested in a rewarding career with a strong Wisconsin company, Rural Mutual Insurance is looking to add to their growing team of successful employees and agents. Apply online today at ruralmutual.com/careers.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Wisconsin football has added its third commitment from the state of Illinois in its 2023 recruiting class. That would be defensive lineman Roderick Pierce, who is 6'3", 290 pounds, and Pierce is ranked as the number 23 player in Illinois and the 107th best defensive lineman in the country. In total, Wisconsin now has 5 commitments in its 2023 class. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. Incidentally, the last hour of the program today going to be carried by Zach Heilprin and Ben Kenny, kind of the Kenny and Heilprin show. I like it. Going to duck out a little early. I got to get down to Chicago. I got some stuff I got to do tonight. We all know with the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame induction banquet, and that all gets underway a little early, so I got to get a jump start on it to get down and get through Chicago traffic. So there you go. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Milwaukee Admirals. They, speaking of Chicago, taking on the Wolves, trying to get themselves deeper into the Calder Cup Championship. And they are continuing on in the playoffs. Second round of the playoffs, taking on the Wolves. For home tickets at UW Panther Arena, go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. Go see some Admirals action. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Let's do this. Let's bring in our good buddy, Kevin Holden, CBS 58, now joining us on the hotline. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
Bill, man, it's Friday. It's all good. I'm a happy guy today. We're finally starting to see good good weather, good baseball. Like I can deal with this, man.
With the Brewers, let's first of all talk about the hitting. And I want to ask you this because I get this all the time. At what point Do you feel they're going to go get a stick? Now, I continue to say, and I'll just give you my perspective and then you tell me, I think they're going to ride this out probably until just about the All-Star break, and then maybe they'll start looking after the fact because, first of all, you're 10 games over 500. You've got a cushion. Secondly, your pitching has been, for the most part, pretty solid. And thirdly, you've been a little bit nicked up and you've had to use different lineups, so you're trying to still wait for those guys to kind of catch fire, if you will, and then see what you got once everybody's back and healthy. Give me your thought.
Yeah, I think you've got really good points there across the board. And I would add this one as well, that I think the Brewers want to make sure, and I think it's a certainty, but they want to make sure that they're going to be buyers, basically that nothing crazy happens that knocks them from the standings, that puts them in a bad position. They want to make sure they're in a spot where they're a good team that can make themselves better for a postseason run this year. And I mean, we've seen the bottom 3/5 of the National League Central. So what I'm saying is it's as much a foregone conclusion this year as it's been any through almost 40 games that the Brewers will be contenders, that they will be buyers, but they want to make sure that's the case. But yeah, if that's all there, then I think that at some point David Stearns is going to make a run somewhere at some kind of bat, and third base is the spot that jumps out to me as a place where the Brewers could improve pretty quickly, where they could make themselves better pretty quickly. I would have said first. I like what Rowdy Tellez has done, though. And I think at this point they're content, to have Rowdy at first base. So if it's anybody, it's probably a third baseman.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If so, what position? So do you like Urias at third base?
I like him. I think I like Urias better if he's a second base, short, third, sort of a super utility guy that can step in for guys, like the first idea off the bench to step in at multiple different positions. He's got a good bat, and if he was the starting third baseman for the year, I think he puts up pretty good numbers. But I think if you're a team that wants to really jump it, that really wants to put some extra oomph in that lineup and put some extra run producing ability in that lineup, that's still probably the best upgrade that you have, because I don't think they want to mess with what they have up the middle. And the outfield situation, to me, looks pretty good. I mean, that's, Hunter Renfroe's done what he's needed to do. We know that Lorenzo Cain is at that end phase in his career, so that's a spot. But the Brewers have more than three outfielders for those roles. So, I don't know. Third base just seems like that's that spot, the easiest upgrade and the easiest chance to move Urias into another role where he could do something good for the team.
Give me your thoughts on the pitching thus far, because recently we've seen a couple of up and down performances where this staff was rolling for a while, and then every now and then they've hit that clunker where they give up 4, 5, 6, 7 runs, and then they find this team scrambling. And otherwise, I think you get some of these little bit better outings, 2 or 3 additional wins. I mean, you're almost running away with the division at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and it's still. Look, man, you and I spent a lot of years covering a lot of bad starting pitching in Milwaukee, like a lot. Like there's a long line, man. There's a whole road full of Braden Loopers, right? And it's incredible that the Brewers have this position where their starting pitching is good as it is and it's deep as it is, and there are a couple of arms in waiting that I think are going to be really good. Aaron Ashby has a bright future with this team on top of it. So it's almost a default. If you would have gone to this calendar date in any year in the last dozen years or more, we would have said, well, another good 3-pitcher or another good, front end starter that bumps everybody down a spot. But this is one time when that doesn't seem to be the case, when they, from a pitching standpoint, staff wise, full staff, the starting rotation, guys that set it up, the closer, everybody, they seem to me to be as good and as deep as pretty much anybody in the National League that's not in LA and have a $3 billion payroll. Like, you take them out of the mix, the Brewers are as good as anybody.
The Keston Hiura walk-off home run, he comes up, he was sick, he wasn't feeling good, said he was on his deathbed the night before. How big of a boost? I mean, I know you're only as good as your next day starter, and you're only as good as the next starter you're facing, and I understand all of that, but to me, do we circle this and say, okay, if he starts to really take off offensively, do you go back to that at bat, that walk-off home run?
Man, absolutely. That it's as a major league hitter. I think one of the things that you need the most when you're talking about success day to day, week, month to month, you've got to be able to build kind of a base. I mean, we've seen this with Christian Yelich, who had to start over from zero after his injury. He had to develop, it took a lot of at-bats, but he developed this base level confidence and worked off of it. He was able to, has been able to hit the ball hard to various fields, spray the ball, hits the ball well to left. In Hira's case, just the last few years and all the things that have gone on with him, demotions to the minor leagues. It started with him trying to learn first base, and it all just sort of unraveled on him. And this was that moment where if you'd said to him 24 hours before that this was going to happen, he'd call you crazy. He was in the minor leagues. He was feeling sick. This is, you can see him just lying there going, man, this is 2 years of my life. It's felt like this. And then the next night, he hits a rocket shot to center field. Just that's no accident. That's a guy that saw that ball well and hit that ball really, really well. And I hope that there are chances for him to continue to capitalize. In other words, if he's going to get that base level of confidence, he's going to need at bats. And the DH position helps, but I think Craig Counsell's got to make a concerted effort to see if this is the Keston Hira of old. If it is, that solves another spot and gives the Brewers another huge bat.
Talking with Kevin Holden from CBS 58, talking some Brewers baseball. Are we quietly missing a story in Hunter Renfroe? 9 home runs, a slugging percentage of .508, a batting average that's not spectacular, but he's sitting at .250, and on base percentage just under .300. Are we missing the story that Hunter Renfroe has been a really solid addition to this team?
I'm not missing it on my fantasy team. I went and grabbed it, man. There was a point, it's probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I'm watching him, and the thing about Hunter Renfroe is he has hit everywhere he's been. He hit in San Diego, which is a difficult place for hitters anyway. He hit in Boston, and here he is in Milwaukee, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, yeah, this is legit. This is not somebody who, might end up being a good hitter with time and with this and with that. He's a good hitter. He's a big bopper, middle of the order kind of guy. He's going to help you out a lot. He had in that win a couple of days ago, he had a double in that one. That's his 7th double of the season. Scored a run, drove in a run, took a walk. Like this is the kind of guy that you can just plug in there in the middle of the order and run with it. It's a great acquisition on the part of David Stearns. And yeah, I think it will start to creep up is when the numbers start to creep up. When you're talking, into June and July and August, and you're like, oh, wait, he's got, 15, 20, 25, 30 homers, whatever that, when he starts reaching those milestones, I think then maybe he'll get more attention. But it is interesting how quietly he's been one of the Brewers' best hitters this year.
Now we go to the opposite side. We go to Lorenzo Cain, who continues to struggle, and it's just it's epically bad right now. Sitting at 182 batting average, a 463 OPS, and just can't find it. Your thoughts on what to do with him? And I'd said the other day that at some point with McCutchen coming back, maybe you end up getting another bat for the outfield, but with McCutchen coming back, do you end up playing McCutchen more because his bat has been better, sitting at 240 with a 641 OPS? And once he comes back from the COVID, which you expect him to be back tonight, but when he comes back from COVID, I got to think you start playing McCutchen more, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sad and it's unfortunate. And if you ask Lorenzo Cain directly, he would tell you the same thing, is my guess. And it's nothing more than, age catches up. And Lorenzo Cain was a hard-running, hard-moving ball player for all those years. The first Lorenzo Cain memory that I had, my wife and I had literally just gotten married. We were on our honeymoon, and we were watching Florida State League baseball because we are insane like that. And
yes, I know.
We watched yeah, you know how it goes, man. Yeah, we get married. It's like, let's go watch a minor league ball game.
Right.
So Lorenzo Cain steals home. The first time we see him, he steals home. And I turned to my wife and said, who is that? Let's get that name. Let's remember that name. And that's the kind of ball player that he was all those years through the minors, through the majors, through Kansas City's run to those couple of World Series that they had. And you'd hope that someone like that could last physically maybe into their early 40s. I just don't think it's happening. I think this is the breakdown phase after, a decade and a half of really hard baseball on Lorenzo Cain's part, which means if it's a part-time role, and he's useful for parts of games, he's useful, in little spots or whatever, that's fine. But we may be reaching a point where that body isn't capable of everyday baseball.
Before I let you go, and I do want to talk a little bit more, you mentioned Rowdy Tellez, and between him and Keston Hiura, if Keston Hiura starts to get more at-bats in the bigs, does Rowdy Tellez find himself more in the role of DH, or does Keston Hiura? But do you, because I think if you're going to give Keston Hiura a legitimate shot, when he goes to the minors, he rakes because he's playing every day. And he finds his swing and he comes back up. He gets a couple of hits and all of a sudden he finds his way back to the bench. He's a platoon guy and he doesn't get the at-bats and he doesn't get the swings. Do you figure give him as many at-bats as possible, see what he can do, and then make Rowdy Tellez your DH and or vice versa? But you got to keep you got to keep Keston Hiura in the lineup?
I agree with it. And I think that if it means that you change your philosophy of the DH, because I think Craig Counsell would like, ideally, to use that DH for different people in different days. It's not, I don't think he normally would have a, quote, starting DH. He might use it to give Tellez a day off in the field, to give McCutchen a day off in the field, to give Hiura a day off in the field. But if it's a matter of this is how you get at bats for Keston Hiura, and he has to be a DH every day for several weeks to get there, I think it's worth bending your philosophy and seeing if that's how you need to do it. If your guys need to be out there every day, and that puts Keston Hiura in a DH spot on a daily basis, I'm okay with it. It really has come along at a good time, the permanent DH in the National League, because it's giving them a chance, the Brewers that is, to stack a little bit in the lineup. It's prime opportunity for Keston Hiura to get ABs without forcing someone else out of the lineup. And if it's me, at least for the weekend, he's my DH for 3 games. And I want to see if this is, more than just a very small sample size, if that bat is back, because we saw him when Hiura was at his best. He was a middle of the order guy for the Brewers a couple years ago. They could absolutely use that right now.
What is his best spot? What is his best position? Because we saw him play second, and he's not a second baseman. Defensively speaking, he's adequate, but that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, and that was, to me, that was a sort of a couple of years ago. Baseball went through a phase with the shifts where they were starting to de-emphasize the second base position. The Giants played Pablo Sandoval at second base one day, and it's like there was this thought that, wait a minute, is the traditional second baseman going away? And the Brewers have sort of pivoted philosophy since then. Colton Wong comes in. That's a gold glove kind of guy. You can't unseat him. Colton Wong is your second baseman. That's got to be the case. So positionally, it's first, and I think that would have been an easy fit until Rowdy Tellez, ate that extra couple bites of Wheaties and is destroying baseball. So that's not a spot for him. There can be some platoon work where, Tellez sits against the occasional left-hander and Hiura plays some first to get in the field, but those are pretty much his options at this point. I think are, it's first base or it's DH. I don't think you're teaching him much else at this point, and I would not put him at second. Like you said, he was functional there in college, but the way the Brewers have their defense aligned, he's just not a second baseman at all.
Kevin, always good. Enjoy the baseball weekend, and we'll touch base real soon, man. Okay?
Oh, sounds good. Yeah, this is it. This is that time. The salad days, man. This is that time of year. We got to take advantage.
Be good, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. That's our buddy Kevin Holden from CBS 58 joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline and talking a little baseball. And the weather's not going to feel like baseball this coming weekend, that's for sure. Weather's going to be kind of crappy. But that's why we have a dome, and thank God that we do. Good stuff. If you're heading down to the ballpark, maybe you want to go out somewhere prior to. Stop down to our friends at Stenny's, either to catch the game or catch a ride to the game, and the shuttles back and forth. Either way, Stenny's, second and National, Walker's Point, fantastic place. One of Milwaukee's, I think it's Milwaukee's best sports bar myself. But if you're going to come into town, if you're coming in from Eau Claire, if you're coming in from La Crosse, or anywhere else for that matter, Madison, Platteville, go in and see our friends at Stenny's. Go in and get some great wings, some great food, all the screens TV-wise. You can catch the game on, but if you're going to the game, catch the shuttle over and back. Great Bloody Marys as well. Great award-winning Bloody Marys. That's our friends at Stenny, 2nd and National Walker's Point. If you have not done it already, we have got a tremendous motorcycle ride coming up. It is our 15th anniversary or 15th annual Big Units Poker Run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. It is Sunday, September 4th. If you have not signed up yet, if you're following us over on the Bud Light live stream, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you right to registration. Otherwise, you can go to fisherhousewi.org. That is fisherhousewi.org. Click on the events page and you'll find it. Easy to get to. Sign up and you get a little bit of a discount if you sign up and pre-register for it. Plus, you get automatically entered into the drawing for one of the 4 sports ticket prize packages, whether it's the Bucks and Admirals, Brewers, Badgers, or a racing ticket package for IndyCar and NASCAR, giving those away only to those who pre-registered. And this one is from, well, you know what? I'll do this when we come back, because yesterday we had a bunch of people. We had about 12 people pre-register yesterday, and I told you get a $50 gift card, and we'll announce who that winner is coming up here in the next segment of the program. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're back in Judge Gina's court where debate's heating up.
Order.
Sorry, Gina.
That's Judge Gina, and this case is dismissed.
Dismissed?
Come on, guys. Wisconsin's home team. Everyone knows it's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You got us there, Judge Gina. Can't argue with that.
Others sell only 1 or 2 lines of windows, and both are vinyl. Pella lets you choose from an unbeaten 6 window lines, 2 lines of budget-friendly vinyl windows, 3 lines of luxurious wood, traditional to contemporary, and Impervia, Pella's exclusive never rot fiberglass, engineered to be the strongest window material anywhere, period. Then there's financing to fit any budget. And now, up to $2,500 off an installed patio door, up to $3,000 off an installed entry door. What's left to argue?
Pella now? Pay later. Pella now. Pay
Court's adjourned. With the price of materials rising across the country, don't let your huge savings slip away. Set your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Crazy Cinderellas go win titles. The teams that win titles are also the ones that have the best coaches, also the ones that recruit the best. It's all correlated.
I would agree with that. I don't want people to be content. I want them to enjoy the program, enjoy football. I want that. But I don't want people to be content. I want them to say, this is what we want. We want to be able to compete with the big boys. How do we go about doing it? That's what you want. Now, the NIL has certainly thrown a monkey wrench into that, because on one hand, you get the one group of people that say, if you're buying players, it's not worth it. That's not what college athletic is all about. And okay, you can stand on that moral high ground. That's not going to get you anywhere, because eventually you're going to watch everybody else pass you by, and you're going to stand there with your arms folded going, no, we're not going to do it. But ultimately, you're going to want to see winners. And if there's not going to be winners, I go back years and years and years ago when I was covering University of Cincinnati basketball. And I had a really very frank discussion. I sat down with Bob Huggins in his office, and we were talking. I said, so what are your expectations? What do you want? And he looked right at me. He used to call me Billy. Billy. He said, Billy, I get paid to win games. That's it. If I lose basketball games, I'm out. They don't give a damn about my credit rating when it comes to graduating kids, keeping kids in classes. All that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure that the student advisors underneath me get these guys everything they need so they can be eligible to play basketball, because that's where I get paid. And he's right. Let's just say Wisconsin has a 100% graduation rate, a 100% attendance rate, but the football program is 2-10. Paul Chryst is gone. He's gone. They'll fire him. So in essence, at some point, you don't fold your arms up and go, no, I'm not going to dive into that pool, because you have to. Now, are they going to be as blatant as other programs? Probably not. Probably not. But I guarantee you on the recruiting trail, when the NIL stuff comes up, if a kid is eligible and worthy of it, I'm sure they're going to say, we don't necessarily promote it, but wink, we have avenues. We have people interested in supporting our Wisconsin Badger players. But I don't think they're openly saying, okay, you sign here and we're going to get you this deal with, say, Bergstrom, or we're going to get you this deal with, say, Mueller Sports, or we're going to get you this deal with, say, Iron Jock. They don't do that. But what they say is, we can compete. The state of Wisconsin can compete. Our alumni base is deep. I guarantee you they say that. Don't you think so?
I'm sure that's what they already say, because they have a good thing in place where once the kid is in the program and once he starts playing, there is a lot of money that has been made by those people, and they have a great way to connect them with things. But it's about when you go to the table, are you bringing something with you, if you will? Like you go down south in Alabama, they probably give a car, they get the parents a job in Tuscaloosa. It's that kind of deal. And that's not what they're going to do. You mentioned being content. I mean, I honestly, as a fan of college football, I am content with knowing Wisconsin will probably never win a national title.
877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Mike says, my confidence in Wisconsin football is a 3. No high expectations, no low expectations. My confidence in the football program is a 3. Kimberly says, my confidence in Paul Chryst is a 4. He just needs a couple more pieces around him to help elevate the program. Appreciate it. Badger Superfan says, I'm sitting at a 3. Aaron says, a 2. I expect better out of a Big Ten program, especially a program that has dominated the West.
The West, which is probably not going to exist in 2 years, for the record.
Then Lanny says, my confidence is a 1. Paul Chryst is never going to beat Ohio State. Kind of goes on from there. A lot of naysayers and Twitter muscles too, don't forget. But it's just I'm kind of polling the masses, if you will. What is your confidence level? I think the program's in a really good place. I think that recruiting is changing. The landscape is changing, if it hasn't already. It is changing, and it's changing rapidly. And I think Wisconsin has the ability to compete in all of that. I mean, when you start looking at it, think about it this way, though. Who would probably, out of all of these programs, the top 3 programs in the Big Ten with money, who would they be? Top 3 programs.
Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State.
See, I'll tell you this. Ohio State, I'd say yes, because Ohio State's the largest camp. I believe they're the largest campus in acumen when it comes to college students in the world. I think it's like crazy numbers. It's over 100,000. If I had to say money, now think about that for a minute. Access to money. Would you not say Northwestern?
I think access to money is different than how much money is poured into the departments.
True. But the richest, if I had to say the richest bases, I might even go Northwestern. But Northwestern's not going to jump into that pool. We know that. Michigan, yes, I would agree with that. Penn State, you bet. No doubt. So if I had to go with the top 3 money makers, those 3 programs probably. I'd have to say, though, I'd probably say Wisconsin's got to be right in there. I think Wisconsin has to, what are they, 4th maybe? In that ability to generate revenue and that ability to generate the money needed for the NIL?
I do have an article on which programs spend the most in recruiting.
Let's do that. Let's do this when we get back because I want to get into this. It's a good point. I want to get into this. Stay tuned. We'll take a look at it when we come back. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. This portion of the program, by the way, brought to you by our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne at Skipper Buds. Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All. My buddy up there, Dwayne, is Wisconsin's best by far, the best canvas upholstery boat cover provider that's out there. You can follow him on Facebook. All the work that he does, whether it's boats, whether it's furniture, gym stuff, office furniture, you name it. He just does a myriad of things and does it extremely well. Cannot recommend him anymore if I had to. Put a gun to my head and I wouldn't do it because it's just already out there. The work is so quality. 715-870-2119. If you're a business owner, if you're a boat owner, if you need he did the recovering of Kristen's motorcycle seat, for God's sakes. I mean, all of that stuff. Can do it all. It's fantastic. Again, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. Go to Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That's Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. And if you do have a boat or you're looking for a boat or you want to trade a boat in, get a hold of our friends at Skipper Buds. 262-544-1200. That's 262-544-1200 and ask for the general manager, Todd. He can help you out. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, Jim Kazmarek, who owns Capco, a longtime company in the Grafton, Cedarburg area, Grafton area. He is investing in a venue, a sports venue, and a music venue in downtown Milwaukee. And this is all is just kind of coming out now. I got wind of this, I don't know, a couple weeks, about 3-4 weeks ago. And today is the day they're making the announcement. I want to get Jim on because I think, I want to find out, if I'm not mistaken, there might be a professional soccer team that could then be coming to Wisconsin in regards to this as well. I gotta read more about this, but we're going to see if we can't get him on coming up here about 20 minutes. After the top of the hour to see what they're planning on building in the state of Wisconsin. But really interesting stuff. So that's coming out as we speak. Welcome back to the program. We're sitting here talking about recruiting, college recruiting and such. And I want to talk a little bit more about not only that, but then the Badgers' place in it. It's a little bit different now that the NIL is all mixed up in all of this as well. And we'll get a little deeper into this here in just a second. I want to remind you, though, hey, if you're going to be Wisconsinites, when we talk about recruiting and such, and you bring somebody into the state of Wisconsin, we're not snobby, we're not pretentious. Midwestern charm, values, all at its finest, and that's exactly what our friends over there at Forgotten Fire Winery are all about. They've been doing it for a while now, and they've got a wine and a cider lineup. You can get it all in their tasting room. They got a great place to go up there in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, and go through the tasting. Otherwise, you can pick it up at any liquor, grocery store, wine store, all throughout the state of Wisconsin as well. If they don't have it, ask for it, but go into any of them. ForgottenFireWinery.com. For all that they have to offer, ForgottenFireWinery.com. The winery, by the way, great place to get away for wines and tastings, live music, events. As a matter of fact, next weekend, we're going to be up there. Next Saturday, we're going to be up there hanging out for the weekend and just going up and going through a tasting, some of the music and such. So coming up to Peshtigo next weekend, but anytime's a great time for Forgotten Fire wine, ciders. And don't forget, it's Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people. And you got to support the hometown team, right? Got to do that. That's our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com. So sitting here looking at this now, the top schools when it comes to recruiting. The top schools when it comes to recruiting. Now, Ben, this is from 2020, right?
Correct.
I was kind of surprised. Were you surprised by reading it? Now, we kind of figured the SEC schools, we knew they were big into recruiting, and we knew and know what football means to them. Okay, so when you start to look, number one was Georgia. Georgia, obviously, big time, along with Alabama. University of Texas, tons of money in Texas. Clemson University out of the ACC. Then back to Texas A&M, SEC. Florida State, ACC. Okay, you don't even get to the Big Ten until number 7 overall. And it's not Ohio State. It's Michigan. $1.39 million they spent on football recruiting expenses. Football recruiting expenses. Meanwhile, Penn State, $1.36 million, comes in at number 8. LSU at number 9, back to the SEC. Oklahoma, the Big 12, about to be the SEC at number 10. Then it goes down to Nebraska. How do you feel on your return on investment if you're a Nebraska Cornhusker, Ben?
Well, less than ideal, but
right?
You also know that the stadium will fill up even if you win 3 games a year. So at least there's some security in that.
You're back to Florida out of the SEC. Kansas at 13. Auburn, SEC at 14. Minnesota at 15. That blew me away. Then Iowa State, Utah, Oregon, North Carolina, which that's a lot of basketball expense right there. A lot of basketball expense. And then Ohio State. I wonder, now you see the top schools out of the SEC in Alabama and Georgia and LSU, and they're all up there, and Auburn. I wonder if, now correct me if I'm wrong, Ohio State is ranked 20th, and they spend less than $1 million a year on recruiting. I wonder if, and this is just me thinking out loud, why do you think they don't need to spend so much on recruiting? My guess is because they can do it with a letter. They don't go out and spend a ton of money flying all over the place and flying guys in and my guess is they do it with a letter. Now, Alabama can probably do the same thing with Nick Saban or Georgia or what have you, but they're so competitive in the SEC, they have to outspend each other. Whereas Ohio State's kind of reigns supreme. They don't have to in the Big Ten. And Michigan's trying to overtake Ohio State, so therefore they're trying to outspend them to do more and more for recruiting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I wouldn't even say in terms of the conference, like Bama in the SEC and Ohio State in the Big Ten. I would say regionally, because if you go down south, there is a crazy recruiting battle with all the Florida schools, the Alabama schools, Georgia, LSU. You go up north, and really Notre Dame and Ohio State are the big recruiting powers. I'd probably throw Michigan and Penn State in there, but Notre Dame and Ohio State are the names when you go to the Midwest.
Yeah, And again, we're not even to Notre Dame yet. Not even to Notre Dame yet. Michigan State comes in at 24. UCLA at 25. Illinois is at 26, believe it or not. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going.
It's going to take you a while to find Wisconsin.
Right.
FYI.
Indiana is at 32, which I find interesting. And I get it, again. But you keep going. Virginia, Polytech Institute, and State University, basically Virginia Tech, at 40. Purdue at 41. NC State, 42. Arizona, 43. Maryland at 44. Keep going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And you get down 52nd in the country is University of Cincinnati. East Carolina at 53. You get to 54, there's Wisconsin. They spend $350,000 on recruiting for football at 54. $354,000. And then you look at the number one team in the country as recruiting goes, University of Georgia, their recruiting expenses, $2.62 million.
I will say, since this article came out, Wisconsin has poured more into their recruiting department.
Right.
But still.
Yeah. That's wow. That's an amazing amount of money and disparity in money that they have poured into that. That's unfathomable. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Let's do this. We're going to step away and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out about a new venue that's going to be built and find out when the ground is going to be broken in downtown Milwaukee. Privately paid for, by the way. So we'll find out more about that coming up. Also, talk a little bit more about Badger football and such. Also, I got into the question early on today and watching Tiger Woods yesterday, and I'm not saying anything derogatory about Tiger, but my question is this. Should Tiger Woods be playing? And we'll talk about that coming up. Talk about that in just a little bit coming up. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, after a day off, the Brewers could be back in action tonight against the Nationals at American Family Field. Milwaukee will come in 10 games over 500, and with a 4-game lead on St. Louis in the NL Central, Washington enters sitting in last place in the NL East in 13 games under 500. First pitch at American Family Field set for 7:10. Turning to the Packers, they're going to get OTAs going next week in Green Bay. Going to be the first chance for the team to see their receiver room without Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. There's some new additions in Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and Samari Toure. But among the players the team is looking for to take a step, Amari Rodgers. He was a third-round pick last year, but was largely irrelevant in the offense. Wide receivers coach Jason Vrabel says he expects more out of Rodgers this year.
You know, you work and train harder than you ever did. So if you were to see him right now, he's already going to look faster and look stronger than he ever did. You know, he's in the best shape of his life. His mindset is like, I'm going to be the number one guy at all three positions. So he has that going for him. His route running is already cleaner and crisper.
The team will hold 10 OTAs over the next 3 weeks as well as a mandatory minicamp.
Where can you learn the skills to take care of yourself and your family? An apprenticeship in construction. Imagine earning money while you learn and getting paid to go to class and graduating without big college debt. You can explore 11 different trades. To get started as an apprentice, visit buildyourcareerwi.org or search for ABC of Wisconsin online.
Well, Wisconsin has added another piece to its 2023 recruiting class. 3-star defensive lineman Roderick Pierce out of Illinois committed last night. Chose the Badgers over offers from several other Big Ten teams, including Illinois, Minnesota, and Purdue. Wisconsin now has 5 commits in their class. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Good afternoon, and we are glad you're with us. Third hour of the Bill Michaels Show all throughout the great state of Wisconsin. We appreciate you being here so much and so often. Thanks, as always. Made it to Friday. Brewers this weekend going at it. You've got the PGA Championship this weekend as well. And then you get this little nugget to end the week where it's not very often that you get venues that are built and you're not really looking for any kind of public financing or anything. And then I had gotten a little bit of wind of this a while back, but our good friend from Capco Enterprises and Capco for so many years, good friend Jim Kazmarek pops up and says, oh, by the way, we're going to break ground. We're going to do something really special in downtown Milwaukee. He's joining us now on the hotline. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bill. Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon to you. So I got to ask you first and foremost, okay? We're going to talk about this venture, but you are a part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. You sit next to the bench, and the season came to an end. Give me real quick your thoughts on the season and this run as a whole.
Yeah, this of course, not having Chris at the end there was difficult, but the guys gave everything they got, and you look at different seasons I think that we've had, and coming off a championship, of course some might think it's a letdown, and of course we're out there to try to win championships, but boy, the guys gave everything they got. Their hearts are broke back, and we're going to compete next year for a championship, and it's always tough when those come to an end, especially right after the excitement last year. But proud of the team for sure.
Very hard to repeat. I completely agree with you. And hopefully a couple of changes are made and maybe this team comes back bigger, better than ever. And we're looking forward to another championship. Now let's get on to the business at hand. But you and I talked about a month and a half ago, and we were talking a little bit about this, and you said, something might be coming. And sure enough, today it does. So talk about what you're doing, because there's many different aspects to this. And I know we can't get into which league is actually coming, but I think that we got some professional soccer coming to Milwaukee now too, right?
We sure do. It's been 2 years grinding at this for sure. And today we're proud to announce that we're opening a district down at North 6th Street area, Michigan Street to the north side by the interchange there. And it's a big parcel, working with Marquette University to develop that and purchasing that. And we're bringing professional soccer to Milwaukee. Some might know that we're involved already in soccer in the Madison area with Forward Madison. And so we've have a natural affinity to the soccer team, the clubs, and we're excited. This is a big day, and it's a whole development. It's the Iron District, MKE, we're calling it, and it includes a hotel and housing and state-of-the-art concert venue, 3,500 person indoor concert. And of course, the stadium itself will be approximately 8,000 seats. So it's an entire district that's being developed, bars, restaurants, the whole bit. So long time coming. Today's the day we can officially say we're on our way.
This area it would be like within that, like you said, the interchange, and it's just near, it would be almost, adjacent to across the highway from, say, the Law Building from Marquette, correct?
Yeah, it's the Westtown neighborhood, right? An area that's been so underdeveloped for such a long period of time, and really this development we feel will really galvanize the downtown district and really cement connectivity to the Marquette, schools, right down to the Michigan Street, and it's a pretty significant development, as you can see by the news release.
Yeah, no doubt. So when you talk about bringing in stadiums and music venues, and first and foremost, you had numerous footprints, I'm sure, to look at. Why did you choose this specific space? And then secondly, yourself and other developers, how many other developers are going to be involved in this?
Well, there's quite a big grouping of people, right? Because there's a hotel and there's housing. So there's different people that are associated with all of those areas. We'll have a press conference in the not too distant future, explaining some of those more details. But, this is a perfect location. If you were looking at Milwaukee 50, 75 years ago, I would think you would say that this is the location that makes so much sense. It's the most visible intersection in Wisconsin. More traffic passes right by here than anywhere else. So it's a perfect place. And again, it's been underdeveloped for such a long period of time, and this now will be very significant and really help transform downtown Milwaukee. There's been so many great things that have been happening in Milwaukee, right over the last 10, 15 years. And this is just another big development that's going to cement things, and soccer, of course, being the central piece to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know you don't do anything without studying the circumstances. So what kind of a response do you expect when you announce whatever team is going to play there, or whatever league is going to be there? It's not a huge stadium by any stretch of the imagination, but you would look, there is a very strong soccer populace in the city of Milwaukee, right?
Historically, if you look at the Milwaukee soccer scene, it's super strong. The youth soccer, the clubs that are out there, the just everything about the ethnic areas in Milwaukee. The soccer culture is super strong. In fact, it's one of the one of the largest media draws. You know, when you have different games, national games on, and you look at the numbers, the listenership from the Milwaukee market, it's surprisingly right on the top. So there's a great culture here, and there always has been for soccer. And we're going to be working extremely hard to develop youth soccer and, of course, the professional team as well. And Marquette will be playing its games there, too. Their men's and women's soccer and lacrosse teams will be playing at this stadium, and I imagine there'll be other teams doing that as well.
Well, Jim, I look forward to the rest of the details coming out. Congratulations on the venture. Can't wait till you guys actually break the ground. And when do you expect this all to be completed? Let me ask you that.
Well, we're going to be breaking ground almost immediately. And we think we'll be open for this soccer season-wise spring of 2024.
Well, that'd be great. Jim, pleasure to talk to you as always. Congratulations, and we'll talk more down the road, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, buddy. Talk to you soon. There you go. Jim Kazmarek from Capco and Capco Enterprises, and kind of a big announcement. When you talk about all of that in stadiums and music venues and such, no private funding in this. It's just capital interest, and that's it. And now they're, like he said, they're almost immediately going to break ground. It's not just Milwaukee that benefits. It's the state, because when you get incoming people and the tax dollars that come into the state of Wisconsin because of, in so many different aspects. And it's the same thing when you like have Broadfest in Madison and people come from all over to enjoy that, or you go to Oktoberfest in La Crosse and people come from all over to enjoy that, Packers games. We all know people come into town to enjoy that. It all benefits the state when you talk about the influx of tax dollars and the fact that tax dollars are not being spent, but it's a private campaign bought from Marquette University to private investors without any public dollars. It doesn't do anything but benefit the state of Wisconsin. And that's fantastic. I'm all for that kind of stuff. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. So very, very happy to hear that. When I saw that coming out today, I thought I got to get some details on this. And I apologize if maybe you lose a little interest as far as being on the air and listening to it. But I'm telling you, it benefits all of us. And especially when this comes to smaller music venues, when now it probably is going to compete within the city for like the Pabst, maybe the Rave, things like that. But a 3,000 seat music venue, that's pretty sharp. That's pretty sharp. Take that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. I want to go back to what I was talking about early on in the program, and I had mentioned Tiger Woods. And I asked the question, and I knew I'd get this response from some people when they said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Am I slighting Tiger in some way? No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. My question was simply this. I watched him yesterday again. Now, remember, Ben, we heard the press conference, how he said he was playing 27 holes and he felt better. He's been working on his legs. He's been working out. And that test at Augusta was he was in so much pain afterwards, and he felt like he was beat up, and then he got to work right away, and then he felt so much better. Did you watch him yesterday?
Yeah, did not look great.
No. He was limping. He was wincing. This reminded me of when he tore his knee up at the U.S. Open years ago, and he was like walking off the tee box, and he's leaning over, and he's grabbing his legs, and he's bending over, going, but then it's not like he's got, a torn meniscus in his knee that he tore, driving a golf ball. This is a guy that on one hand almost lost his life, but came closer to losing his leg, and has, I don't know how many screws and pins in his ankle. And now he's out there doing what many feel is considered to be, when it comes to the motion of the body, controlled chaos in a golf swing. And to watch him do it, on one hand, it's admirable, but on the other hand, you almost cringe at what he's gone through, and then to watch him try to duff through it. Now, don't get me wrong, the guy's 2, 3, 4 over for the day, and he's playing far better golf than the majority of us either talking or listening to this program could ever do. So that's something to be said. But for the level of play and the expectation of level of play out of Tiger Woods, it's almost like you just want to go, Tiger, just go rest. Go away, go rest until you are 100% ready to come back. But on the other hand, yeah, you admire the want to, hey, I'm a former champion. I want to be here. I want to compete. I've got this in my heart, my soul. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. You appreciate that. But on the other hand, you're watching them walk the golf course going, oh my God. It's kind of like watching a boxer. And the boxer just can barely put his gloves up anymore to protect himself. And you just got the other boxer coming over and just going, pow, pow, hitting him in the head and walking away, going like, what am I going to do? And the guy keeps going, come on. That's like, right? Is that a good description of the way you would look at Tiger Woods right now?
Yeah, definitely. And the Open Championship is something he's talked a lot about. I think it's something that he can actually compete in right now. A bigger thing, aside from his physical being down the stretch, was the guys he was playing with. And Rory McIlroy, probably the best driver of the golf ball next to Jon Rahm in the world, he was 140 yards further into greens. Like it is so hard for him to compete because he's hitting these 2 irons. He doesn't want to use driver, and then he is at a disadvantage. Part of me thinks, and I don't know how much popularity this take will have, but I think he should withdraw and just go play in the Open. Get ready for the Open. It's a course that you can manage your way around, hit irons. I think a lot of the Augusta success is he could have played that golf course with his eyes closed. And then as soon as you get to a new one, things change. So,
yeah, it's, I would agree. I just, man, that it's tough watching him walk the course right now. It just is. And I'm not in any way bashing Tiger because I admire the guy for wanting to get out there and do it. It's almost just painful to watch. It just is. 877-867-1670. Agree or disagree? 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Boondocks Barbecue and Brews. And I'm telling you what, they have got a customer appreciation weekend this weekend. The party is on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is the big one. The new patio is now done. I've been telling you about this. The patio, the extension of the deck, everything is now done. Get out to Boondocks Barbecue and Brews. It's right there on County Highway Q in what they call Warren, but actually it's Oconomowoc, out in the Oconomowoc area. But find it. It's a great place. Go out and say hi to Tim, Stacy, and everybody else. Tell them we said hi, but a really cool place. Really cool place. You can also just hit up the website if you want to see more about it. It's Boondocks BBQ and Brew. Boondocks BBQ and Brew. More than just BBQ is what the Facebook page would be. But really, really good stuff. And stop in, tell them we said hi because they're opening up that patio. I don't know if it's going to be great patio weather, but the customer appreciation party is going to be swinging this Sunday. They got bands and all that kind of stuff. So stop out to Boondocks. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You want to get into Quick Trip, still have some time to win that Chevy Camaro SS. They're giving it away. Once NASCAR comes rolling into town the weekend of July 4th, July 3rd, technically, but they're giving it away. Just use your Quick Rewards card, get yourself some Pepsi products, get yourself some Jack Link products, you get extra registrations, and you could be the winner of that brand new 2022 Chevy Camaro. Fantastic stuff from our friends over there at Quick Trip. And I tell you this, I know people don't want to be going to the gas stations right now because it just keeps going up. But the Quick Trip by me, man, they keep trying to hold the price down. I know that. In comparison to some of the others that are out there, there's 2 different other name brand stations nearby, and they're 3-5 cents cheaper per gallon. They keep trying to hold the price down. But boy, I know you look at a gas station, you're thinking to yourself, don't want to go there for gas, but for everything else, hell yes. So stop in a Quick Trip. And if you're going to do some tailgating, they have everything for your tailgate party if you're heading over to American Family Field this weekend. So there you have it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, by all means, give us a buzz. 877-867-1670. So I want to go back to, we were talking about college football just a little while ago about the perception for the Wisconsin Badgers. Brentley over on the Bud Light live stream says, I slightly disagree with Ben. I am content that they probably won't win a national title in football, but I still hold out hope that we will have a team that could do it just once. I'm a 4-year I am a 4 on Wisconsin. There you go. Do it once in 1 year. I don't, it's kind of jumbled. This one's from Brandon. Says, a bowl game is this here? We're giving this to you for showing up. Oh, okay. In other words, a bowl game is kind of the consolation prize. We already said, Greg says, Badger football, the Gonzaga of basketball. You got to prove it first. But then again, Gonzaga's been to the Final Four. They just have never won it. I think at this point, a major achievement for the Wisconsin Badgers would be getting to one of the Final Four, get into the playoffs. I think, and they will do it, obviously, if they knock off Ohio State or Michigan or whomever for the Big Ten championship. I think you get there. You can probably afford a loss not 2, unless your loss is, say, the initial one into the Big Ten against, say, Ohio State. You lose to Ohio State, and then you come back and beat them in the Big Ten title game. Maybe 2 losses if you end up winning the West, but we'll wait and see what happens there. But you got to beat Ohio State. The only way you're going to get in is unless you have an unbelievable schedule. Let's say, Ben, they play Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State, and they go undefeated in their schedule. And then in the conference title game, they lose it. Do they still get to the Final Four?
Ooh, I mean, I think that would depend on what the rest of the country looks like. If they lose to Ohio State and it's close, then yeah, I'd say so. Because look at what Alabama and Georgia did this year.
Mhm.
Georgia was undefeated. They lose the SEC title. They obviously still go to the playoff. So I think it depends on the circumstances, but I would assume so.
Yeah. I would think they would. And as long as they don't get blown out, too, that's the other thing. But like this year, their schedule, Ohio State, Illinois, Northwestern, Michigan State, Purdue, Maryland, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota. They don't play Penn State. They don't play Michigan. They do play Michigan State. We'll wait and see how tough Iowa's actually going to be, or Minnesota for that matter. Does Nebraska ever begin to show up and show something in some way, shape, or form? But if they ran the table this year, say they win it all, they even beat Ohio State at Ohio State and then fall to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, I still don't know if that would be enough. If Ohio State beats them in the Big Ten championship, I don't know if that would be enough to get to the Final Four.
I think it honestly would be, because you beat Ohio State on the road. All of your other tough games are also on the road, except for Minnesota at home.
Right.
So that's a really, really strong schedule and resume.
Yeah, the schedule
And a
at
loss
home this
to-
year is not great, is it?
No. And Ohio State's going to be a top 3, top 5 team. So having that be your one loss, I think that bodes well.
877-867-1670. Want to hit us up, feel free. 877-867-1670. Yeah, they've got Illinois State, Washington State, New Mexico State, all at home. Then they go on the road to face Ohio State. They come back home to face Illinois. Northwestern, which is always a bite your nail game because you just never know what team's going to show up down there in Evanston. And then Michigan State, back-to-back weeks on the road. When you get Purdue at home, Maryland at home, Iowa, Nebraska on the road, and then Minnesota and Paul Bunyan's Axe back at home. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do it. Not a strong schedule. And, it's not their fault. I mean, they can obviously schedule stronger out of conference if they choose to do so. But I like the fact that they at least end their season down the stretch with conference games, whereas others will say, SEC-wise, they don't, because I still think, don't get me wrong, I mean, the SEC still plays a really tough schedule, but when you look at, say, like Alabama, and they always have that one game down the stretch in the last second to last weekend, like they're playing Austin Peay this year. Aren't they playing Austin Peay? Isn't like Austin Peay like the second to last week of their schedule, I think? They're playing Austin Peay, for God's sakes. Now, but they start off, they got Texas. So their second game of the season is Texas. I think they got, I'm just pulling them up. They got Utah State right out of the chute, then Texas. And then they've got UL Monroe, University of Louisiana Monroe, that they get to beat up on. And then they've got that, we'll call it that cake game versus Austin Peay, the second to last week of the season. When they, at that point, usually they have pretty much everything wrapped up. But I think the game that everybody's going to be paying attention to is that October 8th game with Texas A&M. The two, Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, going back and forth and sniping and backbiting on each other. Did you see the SEC's getting involved in that, Ben?
They issued a public reprimand,
Yeah.
which I think means shut the hell up.
Yeah, stop it.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of a stop it.
there are SEC meetings coming up soon, but I think they're scheduled to not be there on the same day.
Yeah.
And if the SEC really wanted the nation to talk about their conference, which already reigns supreme, they would put them two on the stage together, give her microphones, and live stream it.
The one thing about Nick Saban and the feud with Jimbo Fisher is that there is a lot of discussion now, if you will, among many, that this feud, while it's amusing to watch, and I think we all enjoy it a little bit, the feud has brought up the argument. It's ringing the bell, if you will, to say that the NIL, this name, image, likeness, the NIL capability for players and for schools to promote, and the money aspect of this, it's ringing the bell saying, please do something. It's almost like they're begging for the ability to rein this in. That's the one takeaway from all of this. I mean, we can look at the comments and we can say, okay, Nick Saban, there's some innuendos there that he's dirty, and Jimbo Fisher supposedly bought all his players, and Nick Saban's accusing him of that. And we enjoy the back and forth like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. But the bottom line is this: they're ringing the bell. The bell is ding, ding, ding to say, wait a minute. This is already, the Pandora's box has been opened, and already we're having monetary issues with what is believed to be, the perception to be, players being bought. No longer do you have to do it below the countertop, where you slide money under the table to the guy. Don't worry about it. Now they're just throwing the money on the table. Here you go. Take it. Who's got the bigger stack of money? And you've got 5, 10, 15 colleges sitting there with a stack of money. Here you go. Here's the most money. Now, do you want to come here? Now, if it comes down to all sides being equal and then money plays the part, the money's going to win. Where if you're a school like, say, Wisconsin, and you're sitting there going, we've got a little bit better education system. We've got a really deep, when it comes to our alumni base, to be able to find you job after the fact, if indeed that's the direction you go. We've got the support. We've got tutors. We've got a tremendous campus. We've got the lake life. We've got everything here, everything you could possibly want in a school. And then you say, go down to another school, whatever that happens to be. Say you got Minnesota. Say you're in Minnesota. You're in a city. You're in a big metropolis. We've got the lakes as well. Obviously, we're the land of 1,000 lakes, and we've got the support system, and we've got the staff. We've got the education. Here it all is. And then the bottom line is it comes down to money. After the fact, it comes down to money. Then who's going to win? And that's what people are afraid of, that eventually it's going to come down to money. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. That eventually it's just going to be who's throwing the most money on the table. And that's the scary thing about all of this. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll get back to the phones when we come back. Hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Welcome. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Numel Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin. They've got a 98%. I heard somebody the other day, one of the other posers, if you will, wannabe, that said, oh, we got an 80% success rate. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, 80%? That 1 in 20 ain't happening. 20 out of 100? Nah, baby, nah. Whereas, Numel Medical, 98% success rate. 98. 2 out of 100 walking away going, gave it a shot. But the rest, 98%. That's damn near guaranteeing that they can help you out. All you got to do is call them, 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. And if you're feeling sluggish or moody or down or, whatever, it could be some low T. If you're over the age of 30, you might want to stop in, get checked out. It only takes about 5, 10, 15 minutes tops to check your numbers. You're good to go, and it's worth it, 15 minutes to come away with a better and newer you, if you will. And then the all-in-one weight loss program, and that works. Yes, indeed, that works. But you can't do anything if you don't call. Again, 414, for all the locations, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. That's the Numel Medical Center. Just give them a call. Tell them we sent you. You betcha. Some breaking news. Adrian Wojnarowski saying Milwaukee Bucks assistant Darvin Ham and former Trailblazers coach Terry Stotts are among the candidates who have advanced to the final round of interviews for the Lakers coaching job. Darvin Ham and the former Trailblazers coach, Terry Stotts. I like Terry. I really do. Just a good guy, man. I don't know who I'd want to. Part of me wants to see Darvin Ham get that job, but I like Darvin. I like him being in Milwaukee. I like Darvin, being an assistant to the Bucks to Bud. I don't want to, kind of screw up the apple, toss up the apple cart, so to speak. I like that, but you talk about a guy that very much deserves it. He really does. Really does deserve it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Tonight you got Mavericks and Warriors as Golden State leads that series 1-0. Warriors did a job on Luka and company in that first contest. Just beat up on the Mavericks. Mavericks got to figure out. I thought when the Mavericks did away with the Suns, I thought, boy, that's a shot. That's a major accomplishment. And then as you started to get into the Warriors series, into the Western Conference Finals, I was kind of looking at this thinking, I thought all along it was going to be Phoenix and Golden State. And with the way Golden State was playing once they got healthy, I thought Golden State was going to be the team to beat. And then I started to veer away from it because Luka had such an incredible series against the Suns. And for what the Dallas Mavericks did, the way they defended, they really did. They just hampered Chris Paul. He forced him to his left continuously and just wasn't good in that direction. And they really played some stifling defense. And Luka was hitting his shots almost to the point where he was toying with the Phoenix Suns. And I kind of got away from my gut reaction in the beginning, and I started to think maybe the Mavericks have that legitimate shot. And then the Warriors came out and said, no, they don't. No, they don't. Not at all. Not at all. So anyway, long story short, it was like really kind of easy, but the Warriors and Mavericks go at it again tonight. I would not be surprised if the Warriors get a win in this one. Last night, by the way, if you go back yesterday, the Celtics knotted up the series with the Heat. Marcus Smart came back 127-102, and they put on a clinic last night. Jimmy Butler was, I shouldn't say held to, but only 29.6 boards. But Smart came back in a big way, 24 points, 9 boards last night. And that moment at one point when he came down and tossed to Horford, having both those guys back, and Horford didn't have a huge amount of points. I think he only had like 10. But when he came in and got a quick dish to Horford ended up hitting from beyond the arc, hit the three beyond the arc. It was kind of like, okay, now all of our pieces are back. They're firing on all cylinders. Tatum had a big night again. I think Tatum led all scores. Or no, I think Tatum ended up with 27, with Jimmy Butler ended up with 29, if I'm not mistaken. But big night last night to get all those guys back, and it just looks like the Celtics, when they're firing on all cylinders, I don't know if they're going to be beat. I just don't. By the way, say hi to Mark. Mark watching us on the Bud Light live stream from Richmond, Utah. Mark, how you doing? 877-867-1670. Let's get back and talk on the phones. Let's go to our buddy Tom. Tom, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Not much. Just doing some inside work till the rain stops.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No, I heard your first segment this morning about the Badgers and that survey. It was interesting. I hadn't taken the survey, so I was in agreement with the low scores for recruiting and for the chances to, participate or even get to the championship until they recruit a quarterback that can run that offense. I don't think it's going to happen. They've got, the national reputation for producing linemen, great running game. They've always had that. But if you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball down field and not make the mistakes we had last year, I think they won't be in the top 8 until they get something like that. And their offense has to, they have to go get that 12, 15-yard pass. They can't always, rely on left tackle, right tackle, 7 yards, 6 yards, and then have long second, third, and 7.
How much do you think Ingram changes the offensive play caller? Ingram changes the offense?
I hope so. I'm just hoping. The Badgers are always good. They're always, I figure 9, 10, maybe 11 wins. They're always good. And for them to get to the Rose Bowl, I think is what the Big Ten expectation is for me. Getting to the national championship round of 8 would be just fabulous. I just don't think they can do it until they get a quarterback. And maybe Chris, I don't know if it seems like last year he stayed with the quarterback too long and it cost him games.
So are you saying that if Graham Mertz is not the real deal right away, then you gotta move him?
I don't think I watched last year. I don't think he's the quarterback. I think they should recruit somebody if they haven't. I know it's a little late in the summer for spring for that, but I don't think he's the quarterback, and he proved it time and time again. I thought maybe I'm a little too critical, but I thought they played well. Their defense was outstanding. I mean, really. And look at what went in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm. No, so
I just think until they get an arm, if they don't get an arm, they'll be a good team, but they won't be, say, top 10, 12 team.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough, man.
I love your show.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks so much, man. Talk to you soon. If they don't get an arm, have you given up on Graham Mertz? Ben, I haven't given up on Graham Mertz. I think some people have, but I think this is that big giant step we're looking to take forward, right? I think this year is that year that you got to look at Graham Mertz and say, okay, this is the kind of put up or shut up time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't given up on him. I think everybody's watching Graham Mertz this year with arms folded and one eye open, saying, "Show me something." But you still have that optimism and that hope that what you saw of him when he first came in or through his high school career, that is there, that capability is there. And the only thing I saw was the fact that his decision-making was a second slow. That's what I saw out of Graham Mertz.
I agree. I've not given up. I thought the jump would happen last year, and I was obviously wrong about that. The hard thing is, in this situation right now, though, they don't have anybody behind him that's ready. Like Chase Wolf came in for a game and against Michigan and turned the ball over 4 times in a quarter. Deacon Hill, who was another, they are recruiting the position. Graham Mertz is the highest caliber recruit they ever got. They got another fringe 4-star in Deacon Hill, but he's not ready yet. And they have another 3-star coming the next year. If aside from Mertz, like if you wanted to move on from him this year, there's nobody else that could play.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't. When you say you move on from him, who else you going to get? Who else you going to throw in there? And you're not like going back to the Ohio State recruiting class. You're not like Ohio State with 3 5-star recruits sitting there waiting to play quarterback. Remember, I keep going back to it. They had so many quarterbacks that Joe Burrow was a cast-off who ended up leaving and going to LSU because there were so many guys sitting there waiting to play quarterback. He goes on to win a national title. He went on to take Cincinnati to a Super Bowl. That he was the cast-off, which they probably should have kept him over Dwayne Haskins at the time, to be honest with you, but nevertheless. But he was the cast-off. So you don't have that sitting and waiting in the wings in Wisconsin. You got to go out and find another one. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout, 877-867-1670. Hit us up and give us a shout. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. Final segment of my portion of the program. Afterwards, in the 1 o'clock hour, you're going to get Kenny and Heilprin all over again. Maybe a redo from what we heard last night. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
How we looking? Welcome back. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Cunis RV. If it's a fifth wheel, if it's a motorhome, if it's a Jayco, Alliance, Thor, Nexus, whatever it happens to be, they've got it. They are Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer all throughout the great state of Wisconsin and beyond the borders even. And if you've got one to trade in, no problem. If you've got a consignment, maybe you don't want to deal with selling it yourself, send it over to them. If you're within 50 miles of their dealership, they'll come and get it for free. For free. How about that? Go to Cunis, Kunes, CunisRV.com. And with many of the trips that are now starting to get canceled because gas prices are so high, fuel prices for planes are going up, seating is going up. I mean, everything's going up. Maybe you just want to kind of do a local staycation that's not going to cost you $4,000 down and back. Maybe it's just going to cost you a couple $100. You throw some gas in it. You drive it to a great campground. We've got a ton of them here in parks and such here in the state of Wisconsin. You go enjoy yourself for a weekend. Oh, yeah, that's the way to go. Go to Cunis, Kunes, CunisRV.com. That is CunisRV.com and see for yourself. Good stuff. CunisRV.com. Couple of things here before we get out of here. I got a couple of emails I want to get to. This is from Joe. Joe says, hey, Bill, big weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. They get 2 out of 3. Again, they seem to be back on the winning track. If they lose 2 out of 3, then maybe the Atlanta series was somewhat of a blip. They would then fall under 10 games over 500. And Cincinnati is starting to win. Do the Brewers fall back down to earth, and do they immediately go out and start to find another bat? Boy, Joe, I think you're putting a lot of pressure on one series. Dude, first of all, Cincinnati is they're still a bad baseball team. I mean, there's players on that team that shouldn't even be in the bigs. Okay, so I'm in no way, shape, or form worried about Cincinnati at all. If that's what you're insinuating, I mean, the team you worry about right now would be more so the St. Louis Cardinals. Beyond that, you're not worried about Cincinnati at all. Nothing about Cincinnati scares me in any way, shape, or form. I think what you're looking for is maybe just me, but yeah, you want to win. If you lose 2 out of 3, it's not the end of the world. You want to see consistency, but you want to beat teams you should be beating. I mean, that's the bottom line. Beat teams that you should be beating. That's it. And and by the way, if you lose this series, you're not running out and suddenly making a trade for another bat. I think it's just one of those things that kind of adds up, and you say, okay, over time, let's just watch it, see if it continues to progress in a negative direction, and then maybe you make a move. But I don't think you're making any moves, to be honest with you. There's baseball is such a long marathon. It's tough not to get caught up in it right away and go, oh my God, and push the panic button. I get it. But the good GMs don't. They don't push panic buttons. They're very methodical, very smart. They move forward very slowly. But when they do, you do things smart. You do it right. You make sure that at the very least, the deal works for everybody. You know, you want the deal to work for you, obviously, but you want to make sure the deal works for everybody. But David Stearns has been very good about finding the diamond in the rough that comes in and gives you something. McCutchen has done that this season. Rowdy Tellez did that. You know, they signed him. Look at what he's done numbers-wise compared to those that are getting millions and millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So it's been very, very good and in that sense. But I'm not going out and making some kind of a knee-jerk move if they lose 2 out of 3 this weekend. Just throwing it out there. This is from Thomas, who says, help me out here. Phil Garner, not a member of the Wall of Honor. He has the most wins as a Brewers skipper and has managed the most games as well. Let's get him on the wall. I think the reason when you look at the most wins as a manager, okay, I think when you look at the most wins as a manager, when you look at Phil Garner, because Phil Garner has 563 wins. No doubt. The most wins as any Brewers manager. And believe it or not, Craig Counsell's sitting at 529. 529. How about that, right? So you think, man, Phil Garner, the most wins as a Brewers manager, right? No problem. Here's the problem. He's got 617 losses as the Brewers manager. So that's kind of like a touchdown interception record. He'd have 563 touchdowns, but he'd have 617 interceptions. It's you can't look past that. You look at Craig Counsell, 529 wins as the Brewers manager, but 479 losses. His winning percentage is 525. 525. Harvey Keene, in his brief stint, has only a better winning percentage at 574. Buck Rogers, 549. But those two guys, they only got a couple hundred wins, 226, 277. But you look at Craig Counsell and what he's done. Whew, I don't know if Phil Garner belongs there. That's, you know what? That's up for a popularity contest. Scrap iron, when you got a nickname and you're that guy, you're that gruff guy. And then he goes on and he starts winning down in Houston. Okay. You think, oh, all right, Phil Garner, he needs to be there. But I don't know if I'd put Phil Garner on there, a guy that had more losses than he did wins. I don't know if I'd do that. Craig Counsell, by the time his career is done, you would assume he's going to be right there. And you would assume at that point that he will have the most wins as a Brewers manager, and he will have the best winning percentage via a manager with the most wins. He will definitely belong there. At least that's the assumption as of right now, the way the team's going. 877-867-1670, hit us up. I mean, that's just my thought. I don't know. This one's from Brentley, who says, do you think the Brewers could trade Keston Hiura if he starts to produce and gets a little bit hot before the trade deadline? I think he is what he is, and we could use him as a valuable trade chip. If he gets hot, those are the 3 or 4 words. If he gets hot, or as you said, if he gets a little hot, I think yes, to answer your question, yes, he could be a trade chip. Yes, I agree with that. But you're not making that trade based on a couple of weeks. He's got to be hot through the month of June for him to be something as far as a trade chip goes. If you're indeed looking for, you're not going to trade him unless you're getting a corner piece back, and you're going to probably have to trade some pitching away. And then you're going to say either a full-time first baseman or third or whatever happens to be. But otherwise, if he's hot, you don't need the bat, then what are you trading him for? You know what I mean? Unless somebody else needs that particular chip at that particular time. There you go. All right. 3 hours down, another hour yet to go. I'm going to take off. I'm heading down to Chicago. I'm going down to the Gridiron Greats induction ceremony tonight, so I'm going to take off. So you are in the capable hands of one Ben Kenny and Zach Heilprin for the last hour of the day. So enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. By the way, John Daly having a day right now. Having a day. Going to get out of here. Ben Kenny, Zach Heilprin. They're going to take you the rest of the way.